Oh, it's our pleasure now to welcome to the program Nancy Cartwright. I'm going to call you an overachiever, but I'm going to say it with love this morning. How are you?
I appreciate it. I'm doing really well, thank you.
When I look at your bio, I mean, it goes on page after page of different things that you've done. Of course, you're probably most famous for your voices and the voice of Bart Simpson and so many other characters. But I look back at some of the other stuff that you have done in your lifetime so far, and it doesn't look like you're slowing down at all.
Yeah, well, you know what? I do have an incredible amount of things that I want to get done, and my bucket list keeps expanding, and I love that. And I think if you just keep putting out like goals that you can, keep young, I think it's a good idea.
I like that. I like that spirit. I kind of follow that same path. Well, we've got to talk to you, of course, about Bart Simpson and the voice work that you've done that, and you've done that since the get-go, correct?
Yeah, all of us, all the actors are the originals.
Is there at any point to have any of you thought, well, I'm tired of this, I want to go do something else, and maybe somebody else will pick up what I've been doing, or are you guys just loving that job?
Oh, my gosh, bite your tongue. Rollin, no way. Nobody's doing this but me. I love it. It's still good. It's still fun. It still creates a wonderful effect with the public. I love it.
I've got to ask you this, though, because, of course, hearing that is like, do we have a chance to hear a little bit of that voice this morning, or are you in a kind of contract that prevents that?
Well, I'm doing it, man, right now. There you go. Now I'm not. Now I'm just being me. But now I'm Bart. But now I'm Nancy. But now I'm Bart.
Does that throw people off sometimes when they are not looking at you but hearing you? And do you occasionally slip into, because it's not just a voice, it's a character, too. Yeah.
Does it throw them? Yeah, I think it does, and I think that's part of the fun for both of us. On-camera actors don't get that. In fact, that's tough. I think it's to have the kind of exposure that they do, that they can't even walk to a Whole Foods and get a meal or go shopping. They live a different kind of a lifestyle, and paparazzi chasing them. Although I just had made a trip somewhere and there was a paparazzi there waiting for me, and it doesn't happen that often, but when it does, I got to deal with it.
Well, and it's something you probably don't want it to disappear, because that means possibly the career is fading a little bit, but I don't see that ever happening for you. Let's talk about this. One of the other things, before we get to the main subject of our discussion this morning, and that's that book that you had out, My Life as a 10-Year-Old Boy, that you turned into an audiobook as well, and then you turned it into a one-woman show.
Right.
And you're going to bring that back and do it again, I understand.
What was that?
I understand that you're going to bring back an updated edition of the book coming up here in about 6 months or so.
Yeah, that's right. We're on it right now. I'm doing a revised version because that book came out in 2000. And there's a whole other generation that's been born and raised with The Simpsons, that they're not familiar with that book because it had a limited run. It did okay. It got an LA Times bestseller award, which is fine, but it's kind of it had its time. Although the information on it it's permanent, because it's really the history of how I got the show and working with celebrities and production. But that's changed because it's all digital now, so it needs to be upgraded. We've since got our star on Hollywood Boulevard. I performed at the Hollywood Bowl. Become a grandmother. I mean, all this stuff, and paparazzi is a little bit different now than it was back then. And so I'm going to do an updated and revised, new and improved version of My Life as a 10-Year-Old Boy. So you have to look for that in the future.
Well, we will be looking for that. Right now, what we want people to focus on, and really this sounds very interesting, this is kind of, I don't know, it's an autobiography, something that you lived out, and then you put it into work that it's now turned into a movie. It's called In Search of Fellini. Did I say that correct?
Yeah.
And this was based upon a real-life experience that you had, correct?
That's true. A couple years before I was cast as Bart, back in '85, I was in an acting class and studying Fellini's La Strada, and I had fallen in love with this character played by Giulietta Messina, who was Gelsomina, and she was a little clown. And anyway, I just had a bright idea that I wanted to get the rights to develop it as a play. So I started writing letters to get permission and ran into all kinds of brick walls. And so I said, I'm out of here. I'm going to go to Italy. I'll find Fellini. So I went off on an adventure in search of Fellini. And I ate, I drank, I fell in love. I took in the culture of the entire of mostly northern Italy. It was Milan, Verona, Venice, Florence, and ended up Christmas Eve at the Vatican, and just, I did things that I shouldn't do and things that I should do as a single woman in her 20s visiting Italy. And I had a wild time, and you'll see about 70% of what actually happened to me is in this film. So we took that, and Taron Lexton, who's the director, he brought the Fellini-esque quality to the film, where you kind of go into the rabbit hole, the belly, if you will, the darkness of some of Fellini's films that eventually bring you out the other side. And you will hopefully have by taking this journey with our lead character, you will have gone through a metamorphosis that evolves this girl into this young woman.
Oh, it sounds like a fantastic film, In Search of Fellini. Would you ever do that again in real life, kind of take that kind of journey again?
Well, I mean, considering I'm about 6 times Bart's age right now, and it would be a different kind of a thing, but probably, no, if I did it, I would probably do it with a friend or a companion or something. It wouldn't be the same. I've lived a lot of life, and the timing of it was kind of perfect, and I did something that most young women would never do, would go off by herself to a foreign country.
All right. Well, listen, we're going to have to... I could talk to you for hours. You sound so very interesting, Nancy. In Search of Fellini, it's out on digital today. It'll be out on DVD coming up January 23rd. I am going to make sure that I get a chance to watch that. And I enjoy all your work, and it doesn't sound like you're going to slow down at all, so I hope to have you back on the future for your next project, all right?
I appreciate your support. Happy holidays to you and yours.
Thank you, Nancy. You too. Bye-bye.